Thank you again. So the topic for today, and this is our, the we call it as the CEO panel, the X factor shifts in consumers and expectations about experience. Customers had to adjust their buying habits almost overnight. All of us did that last year. Fundamental changes to their expectations soon followed. Accenture's recent survey of more than 25,000 consumers across 22 countries and follow-up focus groups in 5 countries revealed that 50% of consumers were compelled to rethink their personal purpose and reevaluate what's important to them in life. So I had to think about my personal purpose and reevaluate my, importance. What are the things that are important in my life? So what happened as a result of this thought process? As a result of this reflected in their buying habits and the kind of experience they now seek. So the buying habits changed. The experience, what they used to seek 2 years back, has changed. What, how, where, we'll know from our esteemed panel. The pandemic accelerated the adoption of countless experiences and concessions that retail businesses introduced. Although these were temporary in nature, they have unpredictably translated into long-term expectations that consumers never knew they had. So it's like an habit. So inadvertently it happened that I started doing something which was new to me, but now that has become my expectations, which even I never knew that it will become like that way. And that's why the consumer has changed, the expectations has changed. How are we going to do that? Of these expectations, two things stand out. Seamless online transactions and meet the consumers wherever they are. This is one. And the second one is, consumers also want companies to lead their values. So with this, how tuned are the retailers to shifts in consumer expectations about experience and how they are molding themselves to meet these expectations? To start with, let me ask our chairman, Delhi North Chapter, Lalit ji, about, how the customer expectations have changed. And here today, one good thing is we have got, the panel has people from, stalwarts from clothing, value retail, shoes. We have got QSR, Domino's, and we have got excellent tech companies, Omni, Genesis, and Zeno. So this is the composition of today's panel, and I'll start with Lalit ji, how the consumer has changed.
Thank you, Desh. And definitely a very good study by Accenture. And that definitely helps us also to promote and believe in the thought process. And definitely there has been a change. There is a big change which is every individual, every human being on earth has experienced. And they have started believing things differently or looking at things differently. Out of which lot of what I call in our Eastern tradition or Indian tradition, Sanskriti, which is also coming up from Vedas and from Gitas, is all about doing good, doing things which are ethical, doing things which are real, which are good. So I think more and more consumer behavior or more and more consumer thoughts are moving to their ethos are moving to ethics and good ethics. And because they believe now, because they have seen death so closely in their families, in their extended families, and they have seen the plight, the difficult times that the mankind has gone through. So they all have started believing in that real doing good and believing in good and dealing with people who do good and interacting with people who are actually creating something better for society. So that is how I think the large piece of the relationship continues. And if a consumer wants to connect with a retailer, he always now starts looking at the kind of goodwill, the kind of ethics, the kind of credibility that retailer has, the kind of product that he sells. How does he treat his people? How does he treat his community? How does he himself get disciplined in terms of managing the governance in total? So I think largely we need to be a responsible retailer to try and attract such audience. And more we go forward, more and more this information world is bringing leaps and bounds of different theories of concepts of belief, I think we will have to definitely try and give more and more, bring in more and more sustainability. As I said, right from the thoughts on building the product, the kind of product that you build, the products, the raw material that you use to build those products, the factories that you use to do that, and in the process in which you are carrying those products to your store and then fulfilling them through the kind of people that you have. And how do you take care of all of that? And then the kind of good things that you do. Who has done, who has helped the community during COVID times are being looked at as good retailer or as being looked as good partners to deal with. So I think whether it is not only about consumer but also with vendors or also with your all employees, because even employees only wants to work with people who has those purpose and large purpose where the organization give them a larger thing to think. So it is not the same employee who just wanted his salary and his incentive. He also now is looking at a differentiated feeling and experience in the space, in the workspace, so that he himself feels proud that I am working with some company which is really good, which is trying to give me something more or give the world something more which is required. So those are the areas I think we will have to all work for. And there are differentiated behaviors right from people who are, because more and more digital world is coming closer and closer. So we will have to understand how does a digital customer look at product. So there are a lot of questions on whether there are different range of products on the digital e-commerce or in the physical stores. So it should not be ultimately whatever is even sold from physical stores are being viewed digitally, because customers flaunt now digitally more than physically. So there is a virtual identity which is much more important than the digital physical identity. So I think we will have to all understand the kind of perception that the millennials and the junior consumers are having. So that particular consumer has to be looked upon, because we are now most of the people in this business are above 35 and above 40. So you have to believe that you are getting older, and you have to understand from your child and from your junior folks and from your new energy, new people that is coming in, that how does the perception of that consumer come in, and how should we plan and design our product, how should we give the experience at the store, how should we tweak our advertisement and our communication piece also. Those are some of the things that I think we will have to try and adhere to or try and know, so that we are able to synchronize with that audience which is trying to change his behavior.
Thank you, Lalitji. That was very insightful. Rajeshji, how has the customer changed in your business? Has he really changed? Because one thing which I wanted to ask, and this is a common thing, that history repeats itself. So 2 saal ho gaye and back to square one, next year onwards we'll be back to square one the way we used to be in 2019. Is that the case? So how has your customer changed?
Thank you, Hitesh, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Really good to see a full house, people physically present here. So talking about the customer's expectations, I would say that during the last couple of years, it's not only the customer's expectation, the entire customer journey has undergone a serious change. Some of that is likely to remain as a permanent change. Some of them could be a temporary change. Now, when I say the customer journey has completely changed, the expectations have changed, it's on a multiple grounds. So one is the channel of distribution, the second is the product, the third is the way the products are offered to the customer. So I'll take some of them to explain what I am saying. Let's start with the channels of distribution first. I'll take you a little back into the history for about 6 or 7 years ago when e-com started entering India and they started making inroads. The debate at that time was online or offline. Now, somewhere along the line, retailers, physical retailers like most of us also got a awakening call, and we started getting into the online field also, and online guys started working towards the offline. So the debate, instead of saying online or offline, changed to online and offline. The physical retailers went into online and vice versa. So we all thought that this is more or less settled now. But what happened during the 2 waves of pandemic, we suddenly found that due to the lockdown, of course that was a mandatory thing, all of us have had a devastating effect on our personal lives. in our through our deaths and diseases of near and dear ones. But as far as businesses are concerned, due to the lockdown, we suddenly found that all the stores were shut. However, customers did not necessarily go away. They started buying online. And the thought again came to retailers, several retailers' mind. I think most of the retailers started thinking whether actually online is the future and offline is perhaps dying its own death. But that did not happen, thankfully. When the lockdown started lifting and after the first wave and also after the second wave, we really saw that customers started coming back into hordes. And online, which was anyway growing at a decent speed, which got a flip during the COVID period, offline also started growing in a very fast pace. And online and offline again became two beautiful channels of distribution. Today, if I look at from customers' perspective or the channels of distribution, I personally believe that customer is currently looking for an omni-channel and multi-channel channel of distribution where everything is seamlessly connected. So whether you go online or you buy offline, or you buy, let's say, an EBO or an MBO or a travel retail, or anywhere, it should all be seamlessly connected. So this is my feeling about the channels of distribution where the customer's expectations have seriously undergone a change. The second is the product. Earlier, the customers were not so aware about what, or I would say they were not, they were aware, they weren't giving it too much of emphasis about the sustainability aspect. However, now we see globally, sustainability has become top of the mind for the customers and for the retailers and the brands also. Now, across the world, including India, most retailers and most brands have started working towards sustainability aspect, whether it is using organic cotton, recycled fabric, or using some other methods where the environmental impact of doing those products is significantly reduced. So this is about the product and its availability, which has significantly changed customers' perception also. And the customers are willing to actually pay more. And they want to buy more if it's a sustainable product. And the third impact, which I feel is a major impact driven by COVID, is about the way we offer, the way the offerings are presented to the customers. Earlier, all of us are customers in our lives. When we used to go to, let's say, a physical shop or a mall, or we used to buy online, we used to go for some specific purposes, and let's say entertainment or F&B or shopping, they were all clubbed together, but our purpose to visit those places was to have experience of these maybe three things and maybe wellness and fitness, etc. also. But post the pandemic, what we have experienced is that customers have started going out for socialization. In my own opinion, I firmly believe that socialization is the new fashion now. People don't go out just to buy or just to have a food or just to watch a cinema. They go out to socialize with each other, and all these things have actually become incidental to that socialization. So in this way, I believe that customers have significantly changed. Many of these things are likely to remain as permanent changes.
Thank you, Rajesh. Anupam, this question is to you. You are from a shoe category and one of the market leaders. What is your you can say the way you view the current change in the consumers? Because last 1.5 years, one thing that has not sold was, one of the things was shoes, because people were locked inside. Now, how has the consumer changed from the category perspective? And if you can, throw some light there. And what do you see 2022 as?
Sure. Good afternoon. I think customer has really changed, and I think we should look at the overall perspective. It is, I think, the businesses or the businessman has completely changed. I think thinking of each and every person, looking at the audience today, I think everybody felt that the retail conferences became a little bit monotonous. And today, I think everybody wants to come to the conference to see what are the changes, how do I share learnings and learn from everybody. I've come here today to be an equal learner because the changes in the economy and the society are way too many. And coming from a traditional retail background, where our most of the focus was pure retail. And e-commerce was there, but not so much focused because the business models were not appropriate. Forced us to think about the way business model would evolve. And everybody's talking about the omni-channel. I think these are needs for today. Very importantly, it is to learn how to change from all aspect. From the product mix, which was your real question, I think the change has been very constant. We've seen very clear trends of more casuals, more sports, more homeware coming into the play. Constantly changing them and able to change them because we own manufacturing ourselves is a challenge and a delight. Because to change everybody was a big challenge, and to keep on changing constantly today. I think in last 2-3 months when the business has picked up, how to scale up again very fast. And earlier when there was a pandemic, to bring the scale down was a big challenge. I think fashion industry got impacted big time, and I think with the comeback, I see great changes. I've seen today's socializing, which we are seeing is a trend. I've seen weddings. Weddings were never so big, and I've seen vigorous comeback into the weddings. We all forecasted that the homeware and the casual footwear will keep on evolving. And suddenly we've seen another change of formal wear again coming back into big action. So I think being on the toes is something which we have learned today. Nothing is constant. It was so easy to predict with our previous data, but I think the data is evolving so fast. No past data is becoming relevant. So I think human learning is becoming more important than machine learning. So I think humans play a much bigger role than pure machine learning, which was very easy earlier. So I think change is something which will keep on evolving. I think nobody knows how consistent will be the next 1 or 2 years. So I think we should be open in all approaches. We should not take consistency as a given. I think change will keep on evolving in next few years. Yes, definitely, we all are optimistic thinkers, and I am part of the optimism. I don't think so too much impact would happen with the 2 comebacks which we have seen after COVID. Market has come back with vigor. I think we should still be on the learning curve, plan as small as possible, plan so that your ability to change is faster. If you plan too much, then your ability to change becomes very lower. So I think these are the key learnings I would like to share in my today's forum.
Sure. That was very insightful, Anupam. Before I go to Darpanji, I do believe, what Anupam said. Human learning is more important than machine learning, and change is constant. And plan as small as you can. So that I think that was a beautiful thought. Plan as small as you can, because many times small is big. With this, Darpanji, how has your consumer changed, and what do you see? How are you going to tackle that change?
Good morning, everyone. Is there?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So, I don't know, the audience which is sitting here is more of manufacturers, retailers, or consumers. But for our retailers, my firm belief is that if you are a retailer, you're in a brick and mortar, believe in yourself. Online, offline, virtual sales, visual merchandise doesn't make a difference. During this pandemic, we opened 4 stores. And all our stores are doing great business, our previous stores also. Today also, we are opening a store in Hisar. Just after this meeting, I'm going to Hisar for opening of the store. And we open, and none of the store is 15,000 square feet. All the stores are 28,000 square feet. And customer is there on this thing, for this thing, who wants to come, interact with the people, see the merchandise with his own hand, feel the texture and buy it. I'm not saying this, that online is not good. We are equally important, online is equally important, but if you are a retailer, your core strength is retail, you know how to deal with the customers, how to display your merchandise, what is your regional requirement, just go for it. Don't get misguided by the marketing of online. Just don't get misguided by the figures they give, the valuation they give. that's there is for them. We are a retailer. We need to believe in ourselves. Thanks, Larji. Thank you very much. If I tell you online, I'm a very big player on online for Amazon, Paytm, Myntra, and Flipkart and everything. We are a gold seller on online also. That's our different vertical. So this platform is different. So, but if even I tried going online, lost a lot of money, then they refocus themselves. Ki, no, we are a retailer. Our customer is there who comes shop with us at the store. They refocus back and they are again back into business. So this is what my call is. But of course, on the other side, if you are not an MBO, you are just a brand, like Liberty Shoes, or if you are just a brand, where you have the product knowledge from the time it is being made, the details, you have the photographs, you have everything. And if you're not going online, you're not making your own website, you're probably doing the wrong thing. So there's a difference between who should be online, who should be offline. If I want to become an online player, brand is giving me merchandise to sell it at my store. They will not allow me to sell that merchandise on Amazon or Flipkart. They will not give me authorization approval for that. For that, I'll have to create my own website. And when I create my own website, the stock out happens so fast that all those effort what we put in shooting and cataloging and then going live on the website, the stock out happens and then there's a mismatch. You cannot just tell a customer, listen, you are standing in front of me, you have put in half an hour in selecting a shirt, suddenly I've got an online order, I'll not give it to you. So the person who has given you respect of coming to your store, you have to give it to him. So there is a total this thing, until unless you do not know the in-depth knowledge of online, you do not know how to do the cataloging, how to manage the inventory, how to manage everything. Please, please, please don't get misguided. Retail customer is there. You need to understand your regional customer. What is his requirement? What is his demand? This is what I believe. Thanks.
Thanks, Darpanji. Don't get misguided. And Lalitji clapped also. I relate to that very much, Lalitji. I know your thought process. Now we heard about shoes, apparel, bridge to luxury. Now let's go to QSR and food segment and ask Rajneet how the things have changed in the QSR segment overall as a generic segment. Because one thing is for sure that बाकी सब का कंजम्पशन गया है कि नहीं ऊपर के नीचे आई डोंट नो बट फूड का तो गया है ऊपर फॉर श्योर एंड दैट्स वेयर एंड ऑल ऑफ अस हैड फॉर इन माय केस आई हैड प्रॉब्लम्स विद माय trousers because suddenly after 1.5 years they were not fitting, but then that was because a lot of QSR went inside, so that's the reason. Having said that, how has the QSR segment changed and what's your view on that? To start with Rajit, then we'll talk about the other points.
Thank you, Dr. Hitesh. An absolute pleasure and privilege to be part of this eminent panel. I represent Domino's. We are 1,450 restaurants now across 311 cities. So, and we've been expanding to the point, just heard that you opened stores are very heartening. And during this pandemic, I think this has been a curveball that none of us either anticipated. None of us were trained in our business schools to how to handle this. We were all taught on many aspects, but this is one that we were told, this is, the new normal. I heard 2020, the new bird. But I think 2021 was abnormal. When April, May came, we thought we were all coming back. And we again got hit by it. I think at Domino's end, we were a little ahead of the impending crisis. We just prepared a little ahead of it. I remember on 2nd of March, this is 2020, when there were only 3 cases in India of COVID, I was able to reach out to our China counterparts and understood that this could be really, really big. And we did that what-if scenarios. What if our restaurants are physically shut? What will happen to our people? And what came out was little, jarring to me. So what we did is initially itself in the beginning on 4th of March, this again 2020, we ordered PPEs worth 8 crores. I remember in a town hall telling our teams that, we're going ahead with this new SOPs, you have to wear mask, and everybody thinking, what are you thinking? Why are you pushing onto this? By that Thursday, Friday, we had 32,000 people in our store. These are all company-owned, company-operated stores. We trained our entire teams on new SOP grounds. So I think thinking a little ahead and investing really helped us. The other part I would say is technology. I know we keep hearing vitamin. I was in a conference last week and we were hearing that the vitamin D for retail industry is now digital and data. So I've also learned that is the way, but we were always a omni-channel. You know, this is something we always envisaged. While we're a pizza making retail company, I always emphasize that we are a food tech powerhouse, and therefore the digital first approach has always been there and thinking. So we're using every opportunity to see how we can, pivot our business. I'll just give you an example, an illustration of where we think we made a good attempt. In April, when everything 2020, every outlet was shut. And we had a choice as well. We could have always closed our restaurants, and a lot of people in the QSR industry were closed. But I was always looking at a team of people, knowing that how are you going to take care of them, right? There's 32,000 people. In those days, there were 1,200 odd restaurants. How are you going to make that happen? And what we realized is that, everything was shut. There was no Grofers, no Big Baskets, no Amazon delivering. And I had 20,000 people. So we pivoted our business model, tied up in 3 days flat with ITC, Amul, and Tata, and started Domino's Essential on our app. Since we had an app and we had 20,000 riders, so we used that to deliver food, atta, dal, chawal. And I can tell you two things happened. One is that technology, of course, we were able to deliver. It's in our DNA to deliver in 30 minutes, so we delivered in 30 minutes atta, dal, chawal as well. But the team responded really well, Dr. Tesh. I must say that, purpose is bigger than push. And I've heard Mr. Lalit as well saying that. When you reach out to people, they were saying, wow, this is the real world that we're going to do. So I coined them as food soldiers. And those terms, you are the food soldier going and delivering food. It doesn't matter whether it's pizza or anything else. You are food soldiers, and that's what mattered. I think I've realized one thing while we keep talking digital and we talk about this thing a lot, but in India, a lot of our people and all of us here who are true retailers don't work just from here, but 1.5 feet down from here, from the heart. So as long that is beating, I think every industry, whether it's QS or all, is on a good, strong path.
Excellent. Purpose is the real thing, and the example that you gave, Rajneet, of tying up with ITCs, etc., and delivering in 30 minutes is really heads off to you and the team, because I knew about this and we did discuss this last year with one of our case studies, how Domino's has risen to the occasion and taken it to the next level. With this, let me go to another dear friend, Mukul. And Mukul, now we have heard about all our CEOs talking about digital, online, offline, omni, and this has been the buzzword over the years. But you have really, you are working with so many of them. And what is your view on that? What is the current scenario, and what are the impediments that the retailers are facing right now? And then we'll talk about in the second round about the strategies and the overcoming the challenges part. But your view on that, Mukul, please.
Thanks, Hitesh. Pleasure to be here and to be on this panel with such esteemed speakers. We have a unique perspective because we get a chance to work with a lot of retailers and brands in several categories across India. And I think one thing that we keep as our true north in all of this, as we think about online, offline, what customers want, what brands, what retailers want, is ultimately we're in the business of giving customers what they want, when they want it, at a value quotient that makes sense. It's as simple as that. That is success for almost all of us on this panel. And frankly, each of these waves, whether it's the pandemic, demonetization, digital coming to India, the experiments in us getting closer to that end goal, which is giving customers what they want, when they want, at a value that makes sense. And each of these experiments teaches us one new thing, or teaches consumers one new thing, or us as enablers one new thing, as to how do we get closer to that goal. And so frankly, we don't see the world as online, offline, what is the kind of zeitgeist at the moment. But it's really about how do each of these experiments get us closer towards this end goal. And so what we've seen, Hitesh, is in the pandemic, the zeitgeist or the need of the hour became, be available for a customer wherever they want to be available. That was the trend, right? Your store needs to go to the consumer can't come to your store. Which meant a lot of our partners, a lot of brands and retailers wanted to create more storefronts. They want to be present wherever the customer was. In this case, the customer was present digitally, not physically. So we saw that entire trend in the last 2 years where digital storefronts became the new wave, right? It was a new experiment for a lot of brands and retailers. Not saying that the stores didn't matter, but the stores were endemically challenged and therefore new storefronts emerged. Post-pandemic, frankly, what we're seeing is there is now a new experiment happening in town, which is effectively experience, as you may call it. But frankly, the way we define it more clearly is post-purchase experience. So what we saw pre-pandemic was a lot of retailers had this focus on pre-purchase drivers, price, access, assortment, convenience. These kind of drove people to push consumers to try different channels, to try different ways of shopping. The pandemic brought upon us this need to create these storefronts, which for the first time, retailers were asking to be equipped with new technology stacks for new storefronts. They wanted WhatsApp stores, they wanted their own sites, their own apps, they wanted to sell through Paytm and Flipkart, and as many consumer channels as possible. Post-pandemic, what we're seeing now is that this post-purchase experience has become even more sharper and focused than the pre-purchase experience of the past, which is, I have seen goods coming to my door. I want it faster. I want returns to be better. I want hyper-local access to my stores. I want to be able to pick up from store, return to store. I want that seamlessness. And so brands, consumers, and we're hearing a huge backlash in this, which is consumers are telling their brands, I have seen the gold standard in shopping, which is not only stores, it is not only digital, it's actually a combined experience where I get what I want faster and better and more efficiently. Can you do that for me? Right? And that's the real reality what we're seeing is post-pandemic, the storefronts are all there now. Everybody has figured out how to create multiple stores across multiple channels, what we were discussing earlier in terms of multi-channel, omni-channel. Those are experiments that we keep playing with. But today, the reality is, does a retailer, does a brand have the unified technology? Does it have the unified data? Does it have the unified ability to service a customer beyond just the order? And what we're seeing is an ecosystem. Is if you take the best in class, right? And frankly, the best in class in providing post-purchase experience have been the marketplaces traditionally because they've invested a lot of time and effort into this. So if you take that as a gold standard, we are seeing active asks from our partners, brand and retailers to say, look, how can we give that to our customers? Because we now have storefronts everywhere, but we want to give them that post-purchase experience. And so what we are looking at as ecosystem, Prashant can comment about this, in our ecosystem as tech enablers, we are seeing much more of a need for collaboration, right? Because not everybody can do everything. There are great shipping partners, there are great payment partners, there are great CRM partners, there are great omni-channel enablement partners like Omni. But how do we work together for the first time to deliver that seamless experience post-purchase for a brand? That's the new zeitgeist.
Excellent, excellent, Mukul. And how do we work together? Before I come to Prashant, I would like to ask Ayushman. Ayushman, Zeno, being a technology company and being a part of digital transformation, which is the one shift, that you are seeing in consumer expectations?
I think what the shift has, I think everybody has already spoken about it. Right?
Yeah.
What I'm going to talk today about essentially is the roadblock in that particular shift which is happening, right?
Yeah.
And after multiple conversations which we had with multiple retailers, CXOs, and something which we have understood that there is still a segregation between online and offline. There is no segregation. Customers don't care about it, right? For me, if I am going to V-Mart and if I'm going to the store or if I'm going to the website, essentially is the same brand for me and I expect the same sort of experience which I'm going to the stores and having. And whether we like it or not, the change in this country is happening, and it's not happening now because of COVID. That change has been happening for the last 5 years, right? And the biggest factor for the change was an external factor, which was Jio's broadband giving that connectivity to tier 2, tier 3 cities, wherein there was a point when in India we had only 400 million internet users. After Jio's launch, we reached that number to 800 million. Now the question started coming in that we are a 1.3 billion population in this country. How do we get everybody on the internet? And the biggest problem was the smartphone was costing so expensive, they launched JioPhone, right? So in the next 2 to 3 years, we're gonna see everybody having a smartphone, having access to the internet, and they're gonna go digital. Now, it is not a fight between offline and online, right? Offline serves its purpose, online is serving its own purpose. And we saw a similar trend in US. I am guaranteeing you, open up Google right now and see Amazon, Google stock, and see from 2008 onwards, you see a sharp spike coming in their stock value. The only reason for that was iPhone launched. The moment iPhone was launched, everybody had mobile phone in their hand, they had internet, and they knew that it was so bloody easy to buy things online. And India is gonna go through that transformation in the next 2 to 3 years, and that is a given fact. And we talk about valuation of these D2C companies. Of course, these are inflated. There is a bubble. Everybody knows that. US also went through that bubble burst. We may not go through it. We don't know. But in the last 7 months alone, there were $800 million invested in these companies, out of which 350 million was just invested in the apparel space, fashion and apparel. And this investment is gonna go up next year and the coming next year, only for one reason, that there is gonna be a huge internet adoption happening in this country, wherein while sitting in Delhi, we'll be able to sell to a small town in Northeast, to down south, to down top, and to west. Everywhere we will be able to reach out to our consumer. And the question comes is, how do we innovate faster? The problem is we have lived in this world wherein we had a certain way of functioning, we had a certain style of thinking, we had certain technology stack which we're using. We were talking about the human resources practices, right? It suddenly completely has to change wherein we have to thinking about our people who are working with us. We have to define a higher purpose, right? So every element of the business, right, be it your omni-channel experience, be it your HR practices, be it your operations at the storefront, everything has to evolve, and there is that fear of change or fear of failure. But what's happening is this evolution is happening much faster than the way we are taking our decisions right now. And Amit ji also mentioned in the forum, right, Fortune 20 companies, and that's right. If you see Fortune 500 companies 10 years back, and now you will see a different name. These are Fortune 500 companies who are making billions of dollars, and their name vanished from that list. So we have to accept this change. There are external factors which are happening, which is going to be promoting this change. Only thing COVID has done is it has accelerated that particular change. No difference. We were already through that phase. Only difference which has happened is the change is happening much faster. So we need to innovate faster. We need to fail faster because there is no playbook. We have to write the playbook. Right? Nobody else is going to come and tell us these are the right set of decisions. We have to start taking those decisions and accept that there's going to be an investment, and that investment might fail, but that's going to give us learning. And in the next 2 to 3 years, brands which are able, brands, why? Technology companies also, any service provider, right? Who are able to change constantly, invest money, see the failures, learn from it, and evolve from it. Those are the companies which will grow really fast. But we have to accept that that omni-change, that online, offline, that digital world, that change is happening and it's not in our control. There are external factors. There's a government push which is happening. There are companies which are investing millions and billions of dollars in getting the entire country onto the internet. So we have to be ready for that, right? So we have to shed that fear of change and fear of failure and accept that there's going to be failure from our decisions point onward, but those are learnings which will help us evolve. And that's the thought process I think all of us needs to have, and it's time right now that we need to implement those particular mindset.
Totally agree with you. You know, fear of failure, change faster, fail faster, innovate faster, and evolve faster. I think that's what Ayushman, the crux of this is an apt so. Prashant, you know, everything culminates at your end. You know, you are the last person in this, although this is not the last question, but you are the last person to answer that. You will be culminating all the technology. So how are you looking at this? You know, a simple question, but then you can answer and, you know, elaborate to the audience, please.
Yeah, so thanks, Hitesh. I think, yeah, as you said, everything comes down to technology. So see, what I observed that there are two words which were quite common across all the panelists. So any guesses which were the two words which were across all the panelists use these two words? So, so let me just share. So these two words were seamless and experience. So, and the topic was also like consumer experience we were all talking of. So one thing just I wanted to share that if there is no seamless, there is no experience. So if the systems are broken, there is no experience. I have been fortunate and privileged enough to see this journey, the retail journey across 20 years. I'm just proud to say that exactly 20 years ago, we had installed point of sale software, even of the stores, which was given by Lalit Agrawal at Kolkata. So it has been 20 years journey with him, where we first installed software at a store. And we have seen that journey across 20 years. And I'm extremely, extremely happy and super energetic and charged up to see the current wave of tech in retail and the things that have come up in the last recent years, of course, starting with the online invasion of online companies and online digital commerce. So see, one thing is very clear, which we have also have seen, that the same experience which a consumer is seeing in an online commerce, and then when he is buying online, similar thing he has started to expect in offline stores as well, right? But to give that experience, your systems has to be seamless. And if you talk of retail technology, I mean, there are so many systems. There's a warehousing system, there's a merchandising system, inventory system, point of sale system, omni-channel system, customer loyalty system. But if it is not seamless, there is no experience. So what our job is at Genesys, we have been dealing with across 1,200 retail companies across India to make sure that this experience become as seamless so that the real experience comes out. Let me give you one example that how seamless it could be, and which we are doing right now is that, for example, you go to a store, you experience, you buy a product, physical product, you do a trial, you see the touch and feel, because that you can't do online, right? And then you buy a product, and once you buy a product, now considering the online experience, you don't need a physical receipt. A digital receipt comes to you. Now this digital receipt is not an PDF or something. The digital receipt itself is an intelligent receipt, a kind of a catalog in WhatsApp, or which opens in a browser link, where through a recommendation engine, it gives you an example that, okay, you have bought this physically, so I have this recommended product to you from my digital catalog, which is coming up in his mobile phone, right? So, buying at a store, getting that data collated, and then recommendation engine working as if it is working in an online world, and that catalog coming to you. And once you go browse to that catalog, right, you may buy, you may not buy. But even if you browse that catalog, that data is getting captured. And suppose you didn't go to the store or you didn't bought online later, another kind of recommendation engine which will work, maybe with a loyalty partner, which will send you a kind of gift voucher or a promotion voucher that, okay, if you have bought this, I am giving you some discount coupon, right? You go to our store and you will get that extra discount based upon this particular product if you buy. So, I mean, if you ask me, there is no, it's just a beginning, right? We will all experience the kind of transformation it will happen. 20 years back when we were the ones we started, because that time point of sale system, ERP system were quite discrete. There were different systems working, right? So we come up with the concept of everything integrated, that all your inventory system, POS system, everything works integrated in a way. Now there's another transformation. Now we are saying the entire online, offline, your data, everything what we are talking, everything becomes integrated, seamless. If it is not integrated, if it's not seamless, there is no experience, right? So we are working with across so many hundreds of technology startups and companies like Omni, Zeno, and so many others with an open API protocol so that we can embrace that technology very fast. We can come up with, we can give this experience to our customers. I mean, few years back, we were installing systems at local servers. Now we have stopped everything. Everything is on cloud. So, I mean, I can keep on saying, I mean, this is a one subject which can carry on.
Yeah.
But the main mantra, I think, things are changing very fast, and it's a transformational wave which is happening, and next 5 years would be, it's a mind-blowing change that we will see in retail tech, retail trade, and I'm sure with so many things, innovations are happening. I mean, the whole thing will change drastically. So thank you all, and let's make this journey a big transformational journey, all of us together, retailer and tech providers.
Yes, indeed, because, two sides of the same coin. You can't live without each other. And judwa bhai and stuff like that. But it is imperative, because without that, nobody can, prosper. And it's one thing I've been told right now that, we have got 10 minutes to go. And in this 10 minutes, I actually had 3 questions for all of you. But the introduction and the short speeches that you all have given is very insightful. I am going to write a big article in our Story magazine on this. We have got so many points. But one thing which I want you all to share with the audience here today is, what is that major challenge that you are facing in your business, or what you see? Because one is technology, but if we can, zero it down. So my request to at least the retailers out here would be, can you just zero it down to not just technology or digital transformation or something like that, but thoda one step below that is what the challenge, and it can be a supply chain, it can be finance, it can be growth or go to market or whatever it is. But at the current stage, what would be your biggest challenge, to start with Lalit ji? And one line to that would be how you are going to address that. So we will have a succinct answer here with all our players, and then we'll ask Mukul, Ayushman and Prashant to wind it up. Lalit ji, with you.
The challenge today, after hearing everyone, is, next session, maybe we'll be talk of integrating the dreams. Should we start bringing the same experience in our dreams and people's dream and consumers' dream? So I fear that challenge, and so it's all about, in your strategy, it's all about saying that what do you say no is more important than what you say yes to. Yeah. So in this today's world, today somewhere we are trying to get swayed away into saying yes to everything and ticking yes to everything. So that's becoming a bigger challenge. Having so much of diverse world, bringing focus and attention on the real core basics of your customer, and what does he need and how do you provide that at the right cost and the right value, and bring in the right value at the organization, is going to be the real challenge. Maintaining the focus across the organization and in the offerings that you have, in the way you want to offer and where you do want to offer, is going to be the biggest challenge. And we need to really, all of us, keep on thinking and ultimately prioritizing on the top 5 things or top 3 things that you want to really take care and want to meet that and become a master of, not being a jack of all the trade. So that's where we will have to be focusing on, and that's how we will try to do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Focus, top 5, top 3. Rajesh ji, your view, please.
Okay, so I believe during the pandemic, what happened, most of the factories, most of the manufacturing units across the world, they scaled down their operations, or they had to shut their operations due to lockdown. And because of that, the moment lockdowns started lifting throughout the world, the consumer demand suddenly went up significantly high. And I personally believe that the consumption of the customers has also gone up. And this particular part, I believe, is a permanent shift in consumers' mind, that the consumption itself has gone up. Now the challenge because of that is that the moment demand came, the supply was not there. Because of that, several brands or several retailers, they had actually dropped one of their seasons also. This created a lot of supply-demand gap. After this, the moment it opened, the cost suddenly shot up. A, the cost of the raw material itself, and B, the cost of logistics. whether locally or globally, if we are importing something, the shipping cost is really shot through the roof. How we handled it, because we have our own manufacturing for apparel in India, we could anticipate the demand is likely to significantly come down in our spring-summer 20 season. What we did is, because of our own manufacturing, we kept our raw material at raw material stage itself, and we did not convert that into a 5G stage. Because of that, we did not have a lot of inventory piled up for that period during SS20. And the moment the next season came, we used that raw material for manufacturing the subsequent season's product. That helped us significantly, and because of that, we neither delayed our launch nor we cut down on our launch.
It was just in time.
And that helped us significantly.
Sorry, one thing just wanted to add. So regarding supply side constraints, so one of the initiative at which we try to do with VMart also as well, that we have connected thousands of vendors through a portal, through a supply main portal, so that, I mean, the vendors becomes a part of our system. They know exactly what is selling and what are the pending orders. They can plan accordingly. They can faster delivery. So it's everything. Ultimately it's boiled down to how much you are integrated with everything. So as much you are integrated, it becomes easier as you progress.
Yeah. Darpanji, what would be your challenges and how you are looking at, addressing them?
As I already said, you represent Arvind, I suppose. Prashant, you?
No, Genesis.
Genesis.
Yeah.
Okay, there is nobody from Arvind?
Arvind.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So, like Arvind also is there. What I'm trying to say is that technology is not everything, although we are very tech savvy. If you go to my store, they all are, I have my own POS. A few of my stores in when you can walk in, you can bill yourself, you can walk out. They are all are interlinked. There's nothing like this. With Arvind, not that I'm trying to take a fault in this. So what I'm trying to give a caution to everyone that when you go in for technology completely, I used to get supplies from Arvind, and if there was an order of 450 pieces, so 420 pieces were coming in a proper pack and 20 pieces were coming in small boxes. So they had measured it, this thing, okay, fine, this shirt will come into this box, 40 pieces will come into one box. So उसमें अगर 42 के chance भी थे तो उनको the boxes and everything was so converted so well that 2 or 3 extra boxes were coming with 1 or 2 pieces only. So when you do this, there's extra pieces which are coming and unnecessary logistics and everything was going on. So my belief is that if you want to go into technology, you have to be very careful. It's very expensive. It doesn't come free of cost. Tech is, these tech guys, they charge a lot to everyone to convert your business into this thing. So you have to be very careful about this thing. Just value has to come. Yeah, that's
Sure.
what I do.
So we'll let Mukul, Ayushman and Prashant answer that.
Sir, human resource ही महंगा होते जा रहा है, क्या करेंगे sir?
So yeah, I would now go to Anupam and ask his challenges and how he is going to
So I think
face
the
those.
biggest challenge, according to me, would be keeping the team motivated and trained, because the evolution of technology is so fast. And how do you keep the teams trained? Because it is sometimes easy to buy technology and to implement it but to take it down to the last mile and training them becomes the biggest challenge, according to me.
So the HR part is one of the biggest challenges, and that's it. Rajneet, from your perspective, how do you see the coming year? And obviously everybody has their own strategies, but what would be those impediments for you to achieve those strategies?
Thank you. I am an incorrigibly optimistic guy, so I am always optimistic that things will improve. And we have, in fact, opened 236 stores in the last 1.5 years. So we're actually going out there very optimistic. I think one true north that we have to keep ourselves to, and I've heard this, How do you keep customer at the center of everything? While we talk about digital, omni-channel, everything, our strategy as a company or whichever company we're doing has to be related what does the customer want. And in that sense, I would say rely on data. A lot of us go by a lot of our experience in grid. I would say data. And I will end by saying, you know what W. Edward Deming had said, in God we trust, rest all must bring data. So that's what should be our guiding star for everything that we decide to.
Thank you, thank you. Before I come to Ayushman, Prashant, one last thing, and then we'll conclude with Mukul. So Prashant, then Ayushman, and then Mukul.
No, I think, I mean, as I said, that ultimately, it's at the end of the day, it's all about seamlessly integrating your processes, your software, your solution, and then only that experience will come. Yeah, I think, I mean, so frankly, I have been privileged enough, I mean, to work with retailers which are pushing us hard. Huh? Kaam milega. So I think, I mean, the journey has just begun. We are so, I mean, super excited to work in the new wave of tech, and we are pretty sure that, I mean, we'll make life easier for retailers.
Sure.
From tech front.
Ayushman.
No, I'm completely with you, right? Technology has to be like chosen really well, because this is a time wherein you'll see technology coming up. Every day there are new unicorns coming up. Every day there are new companies popping up in every stream, right? And one thing which, when we talk to our customers and when we talk to prospects, is also that there needs to be a very clear value defined with that technology, right? So we have a next-gen CRM product, and whenever we propose our system, during our discussion itself, we try to define what that value will be, so that there is clear expectation in terms of what this technology can achieve for you. And there needs to be a clear direction in terms of how we're going to reach that point. And every quarter, every month, then we just have to assess that particular point. But for me, I think the biggest challenge which all of us, right, and I'm not just talking about retail, I'm talking about any industry, is adopting really quickly, doing quick experiments, seeing what's working, seeing what's not working. Because if you're not going to change our ways, it's going to be a very, very difficult situation in the coming years. And have a very value-driven approach in terms of taking decision. And of course, data is the key to all of those aspects, right? So data and value has to go together.
Now, final word, Mukul. You saw and heard all the challenges, and in the last almost 1 hour now, how would you like to sum up? How can the retailers address these challenges, and what should they do to take their business to the next level technologically?
I'll tell you what keeps me up.
Okay.
And
your
this is to
challenge
answer
first.
your question,
Yeah,
which is
your
we've woken up a sleeping giant as an industry. The consumer has woken up in the pandemic. And I think all of us together, it behooves us now to really rethink the way we put the customer in the driver's seat for the first time. And that is as simple as us speaking about what we all spoke about on this panel. But what behooves us also as leaders in this industry now is to change the way we operate, right? I'll give an analogy. When the iPhone came out, right, a bunch of technology guys got together and created the Open Handset Alliance, OHA, which created Android, which is now India's leading operating system. Anil ji spoke about this. The government has woken up. They are saying we need to create an open ecosystem where everything that has been siloed in the retail industry finally comes together, right? We have a unique perspective as Omni because we sit at the heart of a single brand's data across channels, across stores, across digital. Imagine the power of opening that across retailers, right? This is where as an industry, I think we have to go, Hitesh, is an open way of putting the customer first, of breaking down the silos in technology and supply chain and in the way we do business, to really think about, how can we work as an ecosystem better? How can we create the best experience pre, post, and recurring purchase for the customer? That's what keeps me up.
Keeping the customer first, customer centricity and customer focused. With this, friends, let me, summarize what all we have done. I have written a few words which I would like to read out, and this is what the crux of this deliberation that has happened today is all about. One thing is customer centricity, Omni, sustainability, socialization is the new fashion, weddings are big, human learning is greater than machine learning, change is constant, plan as small as possible, online, offline doesn't make a difference. Don't get misguided by technology jargons. What if scenarios are important to think ahead? Technology, vitamin D is something which is digital and data. Purpose is the real king. BOPIS, that is buy offline, pay, purchase in store or pick up in store. Post-purchase experience is something that people you're also deliberated upon. Unified technology, fail faster, innovate faster, and evolve faster to succeed faster. No seamless, no experience. Reverse experience, that is now customers are expecting the same kind of experience what they are getting online, and this is, I think, the biggest challenge, because everything is so seamless when I do my shopping here. That is not the case that happens when I go offline every time, everywhere, in all the situations. And then we are talking about reverse experience. That's what I told about. It is just the beginning. Transformation has started and it is going to happen. Data is the king. Clear value has to be defined, and customer has woken up. With this, thank you very much for this wonderful.
Very well summed up.